Over the last 5 years on this channel, I've done my best to keep you as informed as possible. As we've grown, as we've expanded, as we've shrunk, as I've moved studios, gotten married, and tried to figure out just what the heck has been going on with me. It's been a roller coaster, and sometimes sharing your personal information online leads to vulnerabilities that are best kept under wraps. I don't think that's the case here. I do think there's going to be a lot of people that snub their noses at this video, and I think there's going to be a lot of people that don't understand. However, I think it's important to share and to talk about. Over the last 7 months, I have been doing everything I can to create structure in my life, to be a good husband, to be a practicing Orthodox Jew, and to run and manage this channel through what have been probably some of the hardest times to do so. And I kept finding myself completely inadequate and unable to create routine, to get ahead, to find the motivation to even continue. I thought it was tied up to the drama that happened earlier this year. And as I healed from that and reconciled it and talked with friends and family and people throughout the industry and realized that we're in a good spot, I started to realize and discover that whatever it was that was going on ran deeper, was more substantial, and was more debilitating and limiting than I fully had reconciled. I couldn't balance everything in life. I couldn't be the husband that I wanted to be, who keeps the house clean and washes dishes and prepares lunches and writes cute little notes to send my wife when she goes to work. I couldn't keep a schedule and grow a photography business on the side. I couldn't manage this channel and keep a consistent publishing schedule, even though I'd wake up in the morning and know I just have these 3 things to knock out and I'm a week ahead. I couldn't figure out how to do it. It was like I was moving through mud or glue, like my entire body physically was shutting down the moment I started working on something that wasn't a distraction, a stimulant. And it's been hard to be structured in the way that a Orthodox Jewish life requires. About 2 hours of prayers a day with a group of 10 men in a minyan, that's what it's called, morning, afternoon, evening. A mindfulness of learning, of connection, of study, and on top of all of that, a break every single Saturday, a Shabbat, where you remove yourself from technology and electricity and anything that is work or creation. And I love Shabbat, but I kept feeling like every single week I would catch up to that weekend and I'd be stumbling into it and then trying to reset and stand myself out by Sunday, and then I'd just start falling again. This last Friday, after taking about 2 weeks off of this channel and spending about a month obsessively researching and finally listening to friends' advice around me, people who've told me for years I should seek actual help and go talk to real doctors, I had a meeting and an appointment with the first psychiatrist I've ever been to. There I was diagnosed with ADHD. It's been evident throughout the entirety of my life, especially as a teenager, and was largely missed because I've worked for myself since I was 20, and as a teenager I switched schools quite often and was dealing with the death of my mother. So it made sense that we didn't catch it when I was younger. For those of you that don't know what ADHD is, oftentimes, in my own experience, I've looked at it as an overdiagnosed, overly medicated way to keep hyperactive kids or kids that just can't sit in class, sitting in class. And I've argued in the past that you shouldn't give them drugs, you just stick them outside on the court and let them play until their energy's expired. And while exercise is good, that's not the depth or the extent of it. And now, in my experience, the impact that medication has and can have, and the effectiveness of it, of allowing you to just do what you already want to do, to not feel like you're moving through syrup with every little action, is remarkable. In a very simplified, potentially inaccurate due to the simplicity, ADHD is a lack of neurotransmitters, a lack of things like dopamine and serotonin in 4 different regions of your brain, leading to a slight underdevelopment in those areas and a strong struggle to do and complete things like executive functioning tasks. Tasks that you'd think of as commonplace, that the average human is able to do. Organizing, keeping a schedule, calling someone back, remembering dates, times, and rules. It's a thing that makes it so that you seek and constantly are looking for stimuli. The way I describe it is that your brain's starving for dopamine, the reward system, the pleasure molecule, and because it's starving for it, it's doing a few things. One, it is constantly hungering and looking for something to give it stimulation. Whether that's social media, YouTube, TikTok, these things that are designed to give you a quick, instant gratification buzz, sugar, alcohol, or any other type of potentially abusable stimulants are things that people with ADHD typically gravitate towards. And friendships. Exciting opportunities to connect, sometimes exercise, although that's a little bit harder to get up and running. The other thing that ADHD does to the brain, a brain that's starved from those neurotransmitters, is that it creates an intersection that has massive amounts of cars, has electrical systems passing constantly. But instead of having a braking system or a policeman there who can guide and direct and show you what you should be focused on, suddenly all of these vehicles are trying to cross at the same time, creating this inability to redirect focus and to keep focus oriented on one subject and one thing for an extended period of time. For me, that's displayed in constant racing thoughts. Until trying ADHD medication, I've never once known what it's like to have my mind restful, and I've never known what it's like to not have 3 thoughts continually and constantly on the forefront of my awareness at all times. Identifiable thoughts. Imagine sitting in a room with 3 people across the table from you, all trying to talk to you about something important that you really care about all the time. Or one of them might be talking about bunnies and Pop-Tarts, but that's what it's like and has been like for me. I'm doing another video on a secondary channel about the 10 signs that, for me, stood out when it comes to diagnosing my ADHD, stuff that I wish I'd picked up on and listened to earlier in life. But here on this video, I wanted to update you and update the publishers and the people that I work with, the people that I care about and want to invest in, because it provides important context for the last 5 years, what the last 5 years of this channel have been, and what the next 5, 10, 15 years of this channel can be, and hopefully will be. The areas that ADHD seemingly have affected this channel, the things that you would have noticed over the course of the last 5 years, one, first and foremost, is a lack of consistent posting schedule. I have tried for 5 straight years to have a consistent video series hit on one day out of the week, and I've been completely unable to do that. It seems like a fairly simple thing to do. We do a review video every Thursday at 10 a.m. And yet, every week, every month, I've found myself failing to complete any of those objectives. No matter how complex and important I make it, no matter how many times I announce it to the channel, and no matter how much I simplify the project, I still have been unable to keep a consistent posting schedule here on the channel. And it's the antithesis of what's right for YouTube and what's right for me and my daily schedule and what's right for you as the viewer. I just haven't been able to do it. Along with that, we've had many series start and go. We've had many formats that people on this channel have enjoyed, like the Right For You, Wrong For You series, that ebb and flow, that come and disappear, that should have a consistent home, a brand label next to them here on Quackalope, and I haven't been able to do that. Over the last year and a half or 2 years, I've reached out to people to help cover some of those executive functioning tasks, finding and having and hiring people to help me with email management, to help me with scheduling videos, timestamps, and other things that are just good habits to do, things that need to be done to run an effective channel and a good, successful business that I've seen and found myself unable to manage. And it's not without a desire to do so. One of the things that gets confused when it comes to ADHD is that it's just an abject laziness. But anyone that's seen this channel and knows me knows that everything inside of me seeks and finds joy in being productive and being consistent, and I war against it. I have worn against it for years and years. The hope is that on medication, which I am on, and we're figuring out the right dose, I will get more consistent with my scheduling, with my posting, and with how you, the audience, is communicated with. Because this has affected my wider social media, it's affected the channel at the heart, and it's affected the Patreon, the people that have supported us for years and years. I've been very bad at sending out awards and prizes, keeping a consistent updating and posting over there, and that should change. Another thing that people have talked about on the channel for a long time is my habit of jumping in and interrupting other people way too fast. And I've seen it, kind of. And yet, now, on medication, I can see it so much more than I ever understood before. Before, I explained it as keeping the energy of the channel high and not having people feel uncomfortable when large gaps exist. And because I was so distracted by everything that was going on, there was always something popping into my brain that I wanted to express or wanted to say. It's a common trait, a pretty consistent sign of ADHD is the act of interrupting, is of blurting out and saying things before fully thinking of them. And so that excitement and that passion and that has certainly affected how some people have viewed the channel over the years. To be clear, it's been a rare occasion that the people who I've sat around the table with have felt like I was overstepping my bounds. I've always cared, and I care about the people that I film with very deeply, and I try to make them as comfortable and engaged as possible. But I've usually had them modulate to me as opposed to me modulate to them. Instead of slowing myself down and being a little bit more attentive to what they're saying, or patient, my brain has ran 1,000 times a second, and so 10 seconds for you has been an eternity for me, and I've jumped in on the very next line because I'm excited to express or say something. In their case, I've asked for them to be a little bit more boisterous, to interrupt me as well, to make sure they get their statement out, because I'll back off when they're pushing and re-engaging. In the future, I should be more calm, a little bit more still. Still me in every regard, but a little bit more focused, hopefully, on giving room so that others can speak. Rules mistakes throughout the duration of this channel, I can't blame them all on ADHD. Rules are easy to miss, and I'm not sure anyone ever plays a board game right, and yet at the same time, as my job is to play board games, careful, thorough reading, double-checking, and playing is an important part of what I do. And I think on this channel, I've spent more time being taught games by others than learning them myself. I've never been able to find the willpower to sit down and read, to carefully read, play, diagnose, and then re-explore a game. It's very hard. And now that I have greater insight into what I've been dealing with, it's not a matter of willpower. It's a matter that my brain is starving for dopamine, starving for neurotransmitters, is dying on the vine and constantly looking for stimulation, and reading rules, like building IKEA furniture or putting together Lego sets, is not a very gratifying or stimulating thing. So I've naturally redirected it, avoided it, or preferred for others to learn the games so that I can play with them. We start with the thing that I enjoy the most. Going forward, careful, thorough reading of rules is something that you can expect. It should be much easier for me to sit down with a game and a rule book and follow along and make sure that stuff here on the channel is as accurate as it possibly can be. We will still miss rules. It's part of the nature of filming and putting things online. Everyone in the industry does. But some of the egregious errors that we've had in the past shouldn't happen as often in the future. I have a constant draw to excitement, like I think many people do, but I've let some series fall off and some projects and games not get the attention that I think they rightfully deserve because the new hot thing is coming in. The entire Kickstarter board game industry is built off of the back of the dopamine system. The addictive nature of buying and being rewarded and then not getting for a long time, so you continue to buy to spur that desire within you. The collector, the limited rewards, the best price now, if you buy now, buy now. That's meant this channel has directed itself away from longer format, more thorough discussions on board games in the board game industry, away from historical classics, unless I've just recently discovered them, and centered much more on Kickstarter and the stuff that's coming out that's brand new. We'll still be covering Kickstarter and new projects. There's still a whole host of things that I'm excited about. And yet, there's a lot of stuff I want to double back to. Stuff that would be good for this channel, not just interesting for me. Root, Scythe, Terraforming Mars. These classic historical games that have a large audience that wants new content for them and yet often aren't produced because it gets more eyes and it's more stimulating to pursue whatever is on the hot list. Finally, another sign of the ADHD that was presented here on camera for years and years that I didn't identify or fully understand is the degree to which I fidget and move. If you've noticed in this video, I've been a lot more calm than you'd normally expect me to be. I normally am sitting and twisting my beard, or biting my nails, or spinning a pen in my hands. Talking with movements like this, and shouting and screaming, and so, those are a few simple things that have affected this channel and my performance and presentation on it. I'm really excited about this next step. I'm really grateful that I had friends and a wife around me who encouraged me to find and seek help, because I was at the end of my rope. I'd tried so hard to structure and schedule my day, to orient myself in a way that will allow me to be everything I know that I am and I desire to be. A good husband, a reliable, thorough, and accurate creator and business owner, and a diligent and thoughtful and purposeful person of religious faith, Jew. It's been a hard season. And the last few months, it's all felt like it came crashing down. Let me read you something that I wrote about a month and a half ago. The very last note that I had here in my journal, as a way to end and express how I was feeling and how I've been feeling over the course of the last few months. A month passes without even fully realizing just how much time you are losing. I'm still fighting the same battle, over and over again, as if growth and forward movement is completely out of reach. Some weeks are good, many are bad, and I find myself still embroiled in the malignant disappointment, in the something of disappointment and failure. That's how I felt. I didn't know how to move forward. I didn't know where to take the next step. And I was restarting basically every week. So, I have a diagnosis, I have medication, and I have all the desire to be as healthy and effective and purposeful as I can be. I think this video is a little bit too long. It's longer than I intended it to be. That's okay. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And I'm really excited about this next year. I think there's a lot of good things coming down the line. And a lot of opportunities to connect, reconnect, grow, heal, and improve. Whatever the case, though, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games. I'll see you next time.